Well, pain at the Bowser could be nudging inflation expectations higher. Inflation has lifted to 5.4% as petrol prices reach record highs across the country. Joining me now live is NRMA Spokesperson Peter Khoury. Peter, good morning. So more records are being broken across the country. What's the latest?
Yes, good morning. More records. The last thing we wanted to hear in 2023 as if we hadn't seen enough with higher prices, and the ABS stats that came out this week just show what sort of effect that's having on the national economy. So we've seen records broken now in every major capital city, with the exception of Brisbane, and that will happen in the coming days. And what we've seen in August is a significant jump in the average price for unleaded. But alarmingly also diesel. I mean, diesel's average jumped about 25 cents compared to the month before. On top of all of that, September is even worse. And even though we're only, 2/3 of the way through September, the September stats are going to be even more worrying when it comes to looking at those inflationary figures and the risk, of course, of another interest rate hike.
Well, that's right. There's no doubt that it's having an impact on the inflation figures. As we said, we saw it go up yesterday. What would be your advice then? Normally there's at least one day a week where people go and they fill up, but what should they be doing now? It just seems every day is so expensive.
Yeah, look, it really is. And I mean, the challenge for Australians is how do you find a bargain when most of the capital cities are at record highs? So you got to do your research before you fill up. It doesn't matter where you live. In most of the states and territories now, there is some form of real-time data information that's available to the public. It started in New South Wales in 2016. And so, even at this period of time where we're seeing these record prices, the gaps between the cheapest and the most expensive servos in these cities is, often 20 or 30 cents a litre. It's normally higher than that, but because the wholesale price is so high, we're seeing those margins come in. So you really do want to be doing your research. You don't want to guess when you're filling up, especially through the holiday period. If you're living in the big capital cities, there's every chance that you might find a bargain outside of the cities. If you're leaving home and going on a holiday somewhere, get on those apps. If you're in New South Wales, get on the NRMA app, the government's fuel check website. Most states and territories have something similar now. Because there's every chance you're going to drive past a town or past a servo or through a town that's 10, 15 cents cheaper than where you would normally fill up. And so that's your best effort. That's the best bet of getting some sort of relief while these record prices remain.
What's the trend, do you think, for the rest of the year? Can we expect prices to continue going upwards?
Well, we've already been warned, haven't we? I mean, the Saudis and the Russians and OPEC have come out and said that this is pretty much going to be their standard approach for the rest of 2023. They've significantly cut oil production levels by about 1.3, 1.4 million barrels a day. Flip side, of course, is that the Americans are really ramping up their production levels, so we'd be cheering on the Americans right now. So they're producing oil at record levels. Their September production levels are the highest on record. So that's a bit of a counterbalance to what we're seeing coming out of those other oil-producing countries, and at the very least might help to stabilise or hold back some of those barrel price increases and maybe even see slight falls. But not great outcome. It's unusual for the Russians and the Saudis and OPEC to flag their intent so early. Normally we would get month-by-month updates, but they've already warned that 2023 is going to be a year of really high oil prices. They've effectively weaponised oil, and Australians today are paying for it at the Bowser.
Yeah, that's very clear. Not good news. Peter Khoury, good to speak with you. Thanks for joining us.